I'm going to jump into today's message. We're in a series called The Secret Sauce. The Secret Sauce. And the secret sauce is conflict. Secret sauce is something that, it's an ingredient in something that makes it taste different and it makes it better. And conflict is one of those things that makes things better. It makes people better. You have to be willing to have a conflict with God. You have to be willing to have conflict with yourself, conflict with the people around you. If you love somebody, you have to be willing to have conflict with them. But it's important that you do it the right way. Because if you handle conflict wrong, it can fracture a relationship. It could kill a relationship. But if you do it right, you solve problems, you bond, you get to a better place. You're able to move forward and move ahead. One of the problems with this is we all grew up in an environment or a family that taught us about conflict, whether it was intentional or unintentional. You learned about conflict. There's responses to conflict, right? Fight or flight. Some of you grew up in a fight environment with a bunch of fighters, and they'd fight about anything, fight about everything. And if there was a molehill, we're going to turn it into a mountain, and we're going to fight about it. And so maybe you developed a little bit of an allergic reaction to conflict because you're like, I don't like to fight. It always made me uncomfortable, so you tend to avoid it. Maybe you grew up around flighters. Whenever there was a problem, they didn't want to unearth it. They wanted to act like it wasn't there and create what I like to call artificial harmony. Okay, we're not harmonious. We're just not fighting. Okay, you can be not fighting and it not be actually harmonious. We're not in agreement. We're not in alignment. We didn't work anything out. We just avoided the problem. So regardless of how you grew up, we have a tendency sometimes to not exactly know what to do and how to handle this stuff. But it's really, really, really important that we do it right. And one of the biggest reasons we avoid conflict is because we don't want to be in pain. Conflict is painful. I'm going to teach you how to work your way through it today. And I'm going to go to a scripture where Jesus is inflicting pain on somebody he loves. John 21:17. You're like, Jesus inflicted pain on somebody he loved? Oh yeah, he sure did. Here we go. John 21:17. A third time he asked him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt. Peter was hurt that Jesus asked a question the third time. He said, Lord, you know everything. You know I love you. And Jesus said, then feed my sheep. What's going on here? Oh, this is going to be good. If you're not a note taker, go ahead and take notes today. All right? If you are a note taker, get ready because I'm going to give you some stuff here that you're going to want to come back to, okay? I want to start before we really unpack this verse. I want to create a foundation for this conversation. I'm going to give you 2 lists of 4 that's going to give us sort of a vocabulary, okay, to figure this out. The first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about 4 types of relational pain. 4 types of relational pain. The first type of relational pain is an attack. This is pain intentionally inflicted. They said what they said and they meant what they said and they wanted it to hurt. They wanted you to feel it. They wanted to strike a blow. They wanted to score a point. They wanted to ruin your day. They wanted to break the bone emotionally. This is a broken bone. Somebody created brokenness and they tried to break a bone. It's an attack. Number 2 is an accident. If you accidentally back your car over my foot, you cause me pain. And you go, oh, I'm so sorry, my bad. Yeah, it is your bad, but my foot hurts. Okay, it still hurts. You didn't mean to hurt me, but you hurt me. This happens all the time, and I'm going to help you understand sometimes the confusion when you did something to somebody who was wounded and you said something that really in and of itself in a vacuum wasn't that big a deal, but to them they were writhing in pain. Let me give you an example. If your hand is broken, you have a fractured hand, and I give you a firm handshake, you are going to writhe in pain. You go to the girl, oh, why would you do that, man? You hurt me. I'm like, I didn't hurt you. I just shook your hand. I squeezed it a little bit. Calm down. I mean, what are you talking about? You brute. That was inhumane. You crushed my hand. I didn't crush your hand. I squeezed your hand. And so we've all been confused because we just said something that wasn't that big a deal and somebody reacted in such a way. But the reality is they were wounded and you accidentally hurt them a lot more than you intended to. But a lot of times these relationships go like this because somebody's like, how dare you do that? And you're like, I didn't even do anything. I didn't do anything. Well, you squeezed a broken hand. You can't expect to have a healthy conflict with a wounded person. You can't expect to have a healthy conflict with an unhealthy person. Sometimes you might bring the perfect conflict. You frame it up just right. You come in humble and meek and you give all the disclaimers and you lay out in a beautiful way and somebody still gets mad. I've never ceased to be amazed at how an unhealthy person in a conflict, even brought to them correctly, can turn it into a barroom brawl. Well, what do I expect? They're not healthy. I don't expect to have a healthy conflict with an unhealthy person. I've had people come to me. I didn't do anything wrong. I just brought it to them. And all of a sudden I'm getting hit with pool cues and I'm having, billiard balls thrown at me. I'm getting hit with beer bottles. And I'm like, what? How is this about me? I didn't do this. I just showed up to try to help you. But they were wounded. They were sick. They were unhealthy. And so they came back. So sometimes you do the right thing, but if it's not the right time, if the timing's not right, you show up in the middle of a wound, it's not going to make any sense to you because all you did was squeeze, but no, they're writhing. Their hand is broken. So sometimes we hurt each other on accident. Number 3 is the pain associated with conversation and actions that bring healing. It's necessary. It needs to happen, but it hurts. Okay? You know how this works. If you break a bone and it heals on its own, sometimes it heals wrong. It doesn't heal right on its own. So what do they have to do? They go in and re-break the bone and set it so that it will heal right, and eventually it'll be functional over the long haul. Otherwise, you're gonna have to keep coping with this bone that didn't heal right. So for somebody to come in to actually help you heal, they have to re-break the bone, and re-breaking the bone is painful. It hurts. This is why sometimes you get mad at people that are doing things for your own good, but you get mad at them because I don't like when people start poking around in sore spots. That's a sore spot. Get away from that. Don't touch me. Get away from that spot. And there are some people that care about you genuinely, and they got in and started nosing around, or they started kind of prodding around in an area you didn't want them. And of course, if you choose for the rest of your life, you can cope with it and you can live with it not healed right. It's not healed right, but if you'll go through the re-breaking process and the setting process, this thing will be functional for the long term. Short-term pain, long-term gain. All right, so healing. Number 4 is growth. Pain related to growth. There are some people that will push you to places out of your comfort zone to cause you to grow to places you wouldn't have done on your own. Growth happens out of your comfort zone. Challenged beyond what you would have put yourself through. This is why people have a love-hate relationship with their personal trainer. Personal trainers got you doing stuff you wouldn't have done on your own. And if you've hired a personal trainer, you've been in the middle of the thing and you feel like you're about to die and you go, I paid for this. I spent my money to be tortured like this. Except the right paradigm is to understand I didn't pay for them to torture me. I paid for them to help make me stronger. But there's pain associated with the process of developing strength. So growth happens outside your comfort zone. And there are times the mama bird will push the baby bird out, and the baby bird's going, why would you cause me this pain? And the mom's like, because I want you to learn how to fly. You would just get so comfortable in this nest. Yeah, get out of this thing and grow, go grow. It's painful. So sometimes people in your life cause you that pain, but it's actually helping you to grow, okay? These are the 4 types of relational pain. Now, I want to talk about another list of 4, and these are the 4 types of relationships. Relationship context. I'm going to borrow some of this content I heard years ago from Bishop T.D. Jakes. If you don't know who Bishop T.D. Jakes is, you're welcome. Go listen to him. The guy's amazing. But Bishop T.D. Jakes did some content around relationships that was formational for me. He said it one time and I never forgot. It was so good. He talked about three kinds of relationships, but I'm going to add the fourth one. Don't tell Bishop Jakes I added to his list, all right? But I'm going to give you the three that he gave, and then I'll give you one more. The first one are confidants. Confidants. And confidants are people that are for you. They are for you. If you're going to jail, they're going to jail too. If we win together, we lose together. I'm for you. It's till death do us part. This is ride or die. And of course, we would love for everybody to be a confidant, everybody to love us for us, but everybody doesn't love you for you. They don't. If you have a few confidants throughout life, a few, you're a fortunate person. Some people have none. But you have to understand a confidant, somebody that is just for you, whatever happens, win, lose, or draw, I'm in your corner for life. That's a confidant. Number two is a constituent. A constituent isn't actually for you. They are for what you're for. We are for the same thing. I have a daughter, Ella, 12 years old. She's a confidant. One day she may want to date somebody. If she begins dating somebody, he will be a constituent. He will come into my life as a constituent. I'm not for him. I'm for what he's for. We're both for Ella. Now, over time, if his character's right, if his values are right, he may become a confidant, but even if they get married, if this dude doesn't earn my trust, he will be a constituent. I'd like him to be a confidant, but you don't just get to be a confidant because you married my daughter. You don't just get to be a confidant because we share blood type, being a brother, sister, family member. Do I trust you? Okay, for what you're for. People get really thrown off because they think people are confidants that are actually constituents, and then they feel abandoned because we were just for the same thing, but then this person over here is for it as well, but they like them a little better, so they leave your situation to go be in that situation because that person was for the same thing we were for as well. They were just for it a little better, or what, they were a little prettier, or they were a little something else, and they went over here to that, and you're like, but I'm abandoned, and they were like, well, I was never really for you. I was for what you're for. So we end up getting wounded by people that we wanted them to be confidants, but they were just constituents. The third one is a comrade. And a comrade is against what you're against. We're against the same thing, man. We're fighting the power together, man. We're solving the problem together, man. We're beating back the issue. We're going to get the bad guy. We are against something together. Not necessarily for you, against what you are against. Now, this is where this gets cloudy because in peacetime, sometimes these all look the same. Sometimes it's hard to know who goes where, who belongs where, in what relationship. And sometimes they change. There are times constituents become confidants, and sometimes confidants, somebody you thought was that, ends up back as a constituent based on life. Conflict is how this stuff gets sorted out. But in a conflict, oftentimes you find out who is really for you and who is just in your life for a season. And it can get cloudy because it doesn't mean you don't love people. It doesn't mean you only love 2 or 3 people throughout your life. You can love a lot of people and yet understanding what category they belong in. I'll give you the number 4. The fourth one is the crowd. And the crowd are people who know of you, but they don't really know you. They don't really know you. They know your profile. They know a little bit about you, but they don't actually, truly, really know you. And of course, we live in this day now. Everybody's got an online profile. People are so connected with social and all of this that you have people on the periphery of your life who don't really, really, really know you. Now, the question I want to wrestle with is, how do I know when I should have a conflict or when I should just let it go? You ever been in that place? Something's irritated you and you're trying to figure out, do I go have this conflict or do I just let it go? This is, you want to take notes, get your phone, take a picture, have it, because this is going to help you. It's going to give you a grid to wrestle with. What do I initiate and where do I have a long talk And where am I long-suffering and patient to figure things out? And where do I just let it go? Because sometimes we allow people to hurt us that shouldn't even be allowed to hurt us because they are in the crowd of your life. Most people are going to be there. So it really didn't matter what they said. I saw somebody post the other day, and they posted, if you have the guts to say it behind my back, you should have the courage to say it to my face. Don't talk about me, talk to me. And for me, I'm like, no, you can talk behind my back. I don't need to have it with everybody. I don't need to have it out with everybody. I mean, if you and your friend want to talk about me and I don't know about it, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and you didn't hear it, did it make a sound? I don't know. I don't want to know everything everybody said about me. I don't need no, go ahead, gossip, okay, have fun. You guys talk about, let it die in your living room. I don't need to know about it. I don't need to know about it. You know, this really came to me, actually. Some of you may remember this if you were around at this time. Some of you are going to go, oh, you're that guy? But basically what happened is a number of years ago, we started doing baptisms in the church. And I was actually going to baptize a friend of mine who we were really tight. And actually that morning, I came in and I had written a spoken word for him. He's a lyricist, so I wrote the spoken word. He didn't know. And so I get up and I'm like, I'm doing this spoken word in the tank. And he's like, oh, my. He gets up, he like slaps me on the rump. And he was like in the pocket. It was a beautiful service. And so I get done. And when I went to baptize him, because of the familiarity, I put him, you know, and I threw a little hip into it, a little shoulder. It was like, you know, and I put him on, bow. And he was like, all the, and the church came to their feet. And it was like Sister Act 2. It was like, you know, oh, happy day. It was just awesome. And so like we had this moment. Well, after that, I started having, particularly men in the church will come to me and be like, I'm getting baptized next month, bro. You better put me down, bro. He's like, bro, I took a lap with the devil, bro. He's like, I've been to hell and back, bro, and Jesus found me and saved me and redeemed me. Dude, I wouldn't even be here, bro, if it wasn't for what Jesus did in my life. When you better put me down. I'd be like, all right. In my mind, I'm thinking, why not? Right? What is baptism but an external picture of what's happened inside? So if you're busting at the seams inside, well, I don't need to just do that. If you want to be slammed, I'll slam you in Jesus' name. That's what you want. That's what you get. So we started doing it, but of course at the same time, I don't want to slam somebody who doesn't want to be slammed. So we started posing the question as people came in, be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do you want to go down? And some people would say a 2 and be like, which to be clear, a 2 baptism and a 10 doesn't make the 10 more baptized than the 2. It's all the same blood of Jesus doing the work, same gospel. It's just what experience do you want? So one weekend we're in here doing this. I got these 3 guys. One of the dudes who's like a giant of a man comes to me and he's like a month before, he goes, you better be doing your deadlifts, dog, because he's like, I'm telling you, man, you better slam me, man. I want a 50 out of 10 is what I want. So I'm in there. I was feeling good until I saw him. I was like, ain't no way I'm picking that dude up. So I jump in the tank with him, man. We had another friend. I put him down twice. You know, another one I pick him up. You know, I'm not kidding. His grandma was on the front row, and she's like, yeah. She had been through some stuff. So anyway, there's a dude on the front row, and he's shooting this video, and it's grainy cell phone footage, so it looks like security footage, you know, like we didn't want anyone to know. And to be honest, dude, I didn't even think about social media. I wasn't trying to go viral. I was in the moment. I was thrilled about what God was doing. I was caught in the story, man. I was caught in the symbol. I forgot the rest of the world existed. I was right here, right now. So they post it, they put it online, and this comedian gets a hold of it, sees it, and posts with the caption, when your pastor wanted to be in the WWE but got called into ministry. That's funny. That is funny. Shout out to Kev on stage. You got me. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to somebody. That was good. That's funny stuff. So he posts it. Of course, in context, it looks outlandish. It's a 15, 20-second clip. It gets shared and whatever. And to say it got mixed reviews would be an understatement, okay? At this point, literally, somebody told me after Saturday night, there's over 40 million views, I was told. 40 million, okay? Well, when it went viral, I didn't know who Kev on Stage was at the time. I thought, oh, who's Kevin Stage? He must go to our church. I didn't know. It posts, it gets shared, blah, 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 and it goes, and so I started seeing the comments, and it went from like, oh, I love the passion. Oh, man, I want to get baptized again, to this man must be stopped. He's a heretic. And I start getting attacked, okay, like hot and heavy attack. Like, I mean, stuff like, man, this dude's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. This is what's wrong with the world. Who's this one church? They're like the warm-up band of the Antichrist. Like, it was just, I'm talking people and personal coming at me. So I had friends that were confidants, constituents, and comrades, like, we got to do something about this, man. These people, some of them getting in there going, you don't know him like that. Okay, and so they're like, you need to get on there and, battle. And I'm like, no, bro. They're in the crowd. They don't know me. These people don't know me. They're in the crowd of my life. They're shooting me with BBs that are not puncturing my skin. For this reason, I step back and I go, gosh, if I had no context and I saw that video, I'd probably think I was crazy too. Imagine you grow up in an ultra-conservative environment and you see this man with a hoodie. I had a zip-up black hoodie and tattoos, and I'm jumping on dudes. I'm watching it, I'm like, I would think you were nuts, bro. Okay? When I'm looking through their lens, through their eyes, I can't feel bad about that. I understand where you're coming from. So did it feel good to be attacked? Of course not. It never feels good to be attacked. But I felt no need to get in the comments and go, keep my name out your mouth. You don't know me like that. I didn't even feel a need to have everybody know me on a deep level and who I am. I don't like being misunderstood any more than you do. But at a certain place, you can't wound me no matter what you say to me when you're in the crowd of my life. So from there, I was able to step back and go, you know what, let's shoot a video for the reasonable people who actually have genuine questions. I was like, hey, good questions, man, the stuff you said. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Were we making fun of baptism? No, we were having fun, not making fun. Okay? Were we doing things unbiblical? No, the Bible doesn't say baptize at 3 miles per hour. All right? This is why we did it as we did it. And then I just let the chips fall where they may, and then I moved on with my life. But I'm not in the valley of despair because a person in the crowd shot me with a BB. Get off, it's fine. Whatever, didn't puncture the skin. I'm good to go. What's next? So we have to decide, like, some things we just need to let go. I want you to understand something about Jesus, even in his process of forgiveness. Lots of people wounded Jesus, but Jesus didn't go have the heart-to-heart with everybody. Think about that. Jesus had people put a crown of thorns on his head. Jesus had people go, crucify him, crucify him. Jesus had people spit on him. Jesus had people convict him. Jesus had people beat him with whips. Jesus had people put nails in his hands and feet. And what did he do? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. When he resurrected, Jesus didn't go back to every Roman soldier that nailed him to the cross going, I forgive you, but we need to talk about it. He didn't go back to everybody that put a crown on his thorns and go, I've worked through some forgiveness, but we need to have a heart-to-heart. They were in the crowd. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. I'm moving on. I don't have the energy for hearts-to-hearts with everybody. You got to be a confidant. You got to be confidant, constituent, comrade. You got to be close. There are some people it's worth forgiving everyone. Everyone who's ever hurt you, forgiven. The bazillion people in the comments section that shot arrows and darts at me, they're all forgiven. If you're watching, you are forgiven. You don't even need to send me a message. I already forgave you. But I'm not going to have a heart-to-heart with, Johnny Doolittle at whatever. I don't know you. I just forgive you. But the close people to me, you got to pick your battles. You got to pick your long conversations. You got to pick where you're long suffering and where we get into the mess and the chaos of the situation and sort it out. Okay, so what do we do with the situations where someone close to us did hurt us, where we're in pain? How do we work this out? I'm going to go to the life story of Jesus here, and I'm going to give you Cliff Note narrative. I need you to hang with me here, but I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice directly from Jesus at how you work it through with somebody who you need to have the conflict. They're in the category, the role you have in their life, the role they have in yours is essential for us to have this conversation, okay? I'm gonna start in Matthew 26:31. This is context right before Jesus is getting ready to go to the cross. He goes to the Last Supper, and he has a congregation of his 12 disciples he had confidants, Peter, James, and John, the three people closest to him, but he also had his comrades and constituents, the rest of the other 12 disciples who were all together for a meal. Look what Jesus says in Matthew 26:31. On the way, Jesus told them, tonight, all of you will desert me. All of you will desert me. All of you will hurt me. The first piece of advice I want to give you, expect pain. Expect pain. You are going to have pain in relationships. Expect it. Jesus wasn't caught off guard. He said, you're going to hurt me, guys. All of them. I think sometimes we have this false desire, or this desire that's not attainable and actually ends up becoming a stumbling block, that we think that trustworthy people will never hurt us. That good people won't hurt us. That's not true. Jesus hurt Peter. No, he didn't. Yeah, he did. It said it in the text. Peter was hurt. Trustworthy people, good people, human beings will hurt you. So you can go, everybody who gets close to me hurts me. Jesus expected human beings to do human things. And human beings hurt people. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you have somebody, if you have cycles of abuse, patterns of abuse, somebody who you're vulnerable and they keep trying to break bones on you, at some point you have to go, for health and life, I'm going to put up a boundary. I'm going to reposition this person. I've forgiven, because everybody gets forgiven, but I'm not going to let you come in and just keep hammering away at me. But friend, I got to tell you, even the most trustworthy of human beings at times have an out of character moment of attack. So if you've been attacked by good people and then you go, that's why I don't let anybody in, because it's only a matter of time before they hurt you. Friend, that is human beings. Sometimes human beings have an out of character moment and they launch an attack. I've done it. I've had it done to me. Do you want to live your life up with walls, or do you want to expect pain? There is going to be pain. Because to be honest, between these four, between an attack, an accident, a healing, and growth, sometimes it's hard to know which one is which. But you can't be caught off guard by the fact that human beings are going to cause you pain. So Jesus says, hey, tonight you're going to desert me. I know it. Now watch this. Peter pops off and declares in verse 33, even if everyone else deserts you, Lord, I never will. I'm a confidant. I love you, Jesus. I love you more than these. I love you more than these guys. I love you more than that. You can count on me. I would not hurt you. And he says, Peter, listen, dude, I'm going to forgive you before you even do it. You're going to do it. I tell you the truth. This very night before the rooster crows, you'll deny me 3 times. You're going to hurt me 3 times. Not once, 3 times. No, Peter insisted, even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. Well, we know what ends up happening. Peter does exactly what Jesus said. And what's crazy is after he denies him for the 3rd time, the rooster crows and they lock eyes. This wasn't even something I heard third hand. He heard him deny him, and they looked at each other, and that's the last interaction they have. Jesus goes to the cross, dies. Jesus resurrects. And when he resurrects, look at this. In Mark 16:7, as the first people are coming to the tomb that is now empty and the stone's been rolled away, and the angel is giving marching order. The angel says, now go and tell the disciples. Look at this. Including Peter. Including Peter. The second piece of advice I have for you after expect pain is forgive quickly. Forgive quickly. He says, including Peter. Right away, it's like the first order of business. Peter, I forgive you. Jesus is going ahead of you to Galilee. You'll see him there. He wants to meet up, just as he told you before he died. Forgive quickly. Jesus didn't say, I'm going to give Peter the cold shoulder for 4 months. He didn't say, I'm going to decide if I have after I listen to all my Dr. Phil content. He went right in, I'm going to forgive quickly. Forgive quickly. The third piece of advice is then to frame or reframe the relationship. Frame or reframe the relationship. Now here's where they have the heart-to-heart. Here's where they have the conversation. John 21, look at this. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? The pain of that question was in the more than these. Because back in Matthew 26, Peter said, I love you more than these. And then he failed. And Jesus says, do you love me more than these? Peter said, you know I love you. And then Jesus says, feed my lambs. He asks him 3 times. And on the 3rd time, look, he says, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question the 3rd time. It was a sting. He said, Lord, you know everything. You know I love you. And he said, then feed my sheep. Why is Jesus going in this wound like this? Why is Jesus bringing this up? Was it vindictive? Was he mad because you denied me and I heard you and now I want you to hurt because I hurt back here and now you're going to hurt over here? Absolutely not. Based on the context of the relationship and based on the magnitude of the assignment Jesus had for Peter, Jesus had to figure out, Peter, is what you just did a stepping stone to grow from, or is it a pattern that will become a liability and create collateral damage? Look at the nuance of this conversation. When Jesus says, do you love me more than these? And then he asked them 3 times, Peter unmistakably knew what the message Jesus was sending. He took him back to where he had the bravado and the big mouth and then his denial and his cowardice and his weakness. And then he came back and said, then you denied me 3 times. Peter, did you learn this lesson? Because conflict is the secret sauce. This is what causes something that would become a pattern to become a stepping stone. But we got to hash it out. We got to flesh this out. We got to get in, and it hurts. Because re-breaking a bone hurts. Growth hurts. Development hurts. But if we just go, oh, you're forgiven, dude, don't worry about it, man, I don't hold it against you. And we don't get in and dig around at why did you do that? Jesus had a plan for Peter, which is, Peter, I want you to feed my sheep. But Peter, if you're going to have this become a pattern in your life, I can't have you around the sheep. You're going to wound them. You're going to hurt sheep. You're going to hurt my lambs. I can't. This isn't about I love you. I wouldn't put you out of my life. I wouldn't reject you. This is the Jesus that left the 99 for the one. He's loving, accepting. It's a question of, if you didn't learn this lesson, I can't give you this important responsibility. The potential collateral damage is what forced the conflict. So Jesus had to reinforce, did you learn? And I'll tell you what I believe, and I can't prove this, but I believe this. I believe if Peter was not receptive to that conflict to reinforce that lesson, Jesus wouldn't follow up, do you love me, with feed my sheep. Because I can't trust you with you. I got to be able to trust you with the sheep. And the only way I can know is if that failure was something you were willing to go through the pain to dig deep enough to know why you got there and how you got there and how I'm going to make a change moving forward. Because Jesus was about to go to heaven. He was about to send Peter into the book of Acts. And Peter was about to sit at the head of the table. Peter was about to be the one everybody was looking to. Peter was about to be the shepherd and the protector. He's going, if we don't have this now, it's going to be more painful and more damage later. So sometimes you got to frame or reframe the relationship through how we walk through this conflict. Here's what I want us to do. I want you to take your situation right now, the conflicts you're having right now, and I want you to sort of lay it over this stuff we just talked about. The story of Jesus and Peter, these 2 lists of 4. And I want us to come back to that question. Is this something I need to have a conflict, or do I need to just let it go? For some of you, as people who are in the crowd of your life, who have been trying to provoke you, They've been trying to get you going in mud wrestle. They've been under your skin. And at a certain place, you got to go, get the BB off me. It doesn't puncture my skin. It doesn't puncture my skin. They're in the crowd. They don't know me. If they really knew me, if they knew my heart, if they knew what I was doing, they would know what I was trying to do. But, I don't have time or energy to go run out and try to get everybody to get me. They don't get you. It's okay, fine. Move on. What's for dinner? If it's somebody in here, then you have to get to the place where you go, I'm going to have this conflict. I'm going to have this conflict. I want to give you 3 questions to process this decision. The first one is, based on my relationship, role, and health, is this conflict worth having? If you look at somebody and go, yeah, somebody needs to tell them the truth at some point, but right now's not the time. They got a broken hand. If I squeeze it, they're going to go to the ground. This is just going to be worse. I got to give them time to heal, or they're going to have to find it in another way. It may not be the right time. Or you look and go, no, this is something we got to start doing this. The second question is, will this conflict cost me more now or more down the road? Will it cost me more now or will it cost me more down the road? If you look down the road and go, it's only going to get more expensive 6 months from now. It's only going to get more painful 6 months from now. It's only going to get worse. If you're not careful, you get caught up in how bad it would hurt to have that right now, that you don't think about that it's only going to get worse. So maybe you go, needs to happen now. Needs to happen now. Or need to wait. The third is this situation a pattern or a stepping stone? And I want you to start with you. Look inside. Some of you may be upset with somebody who's not forgiving you for something you've done to them 60 times. You go, well, the Bible says forgive 70 times 7. Yeah, but if you got a 490 times forgive somebody for the same thing, you might want to reframe them. You keep doing the same thing to people, they're sorry, even if you're sincere, they're going, I don't know if I can trust you. You have to care enough to go through the pain of re-breaking the bone so it turn it into a stepping stone.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Otherwise, everybody's learning how to cope with your patterns. Love the people around you, love yourself enough to break the pattern and grow from it. So look at yourself and go, have I subjected people to my patterns and just want them to forgive me? Some things are hard, they're difficult. I give you grace. It's not easy, but you got to care enough to do whatever it takes to break that pattern. And look at the people around you. Is this a pattern? Is this a stepping stone? So let's take a moment right now. Let's go to the Lord. Let's take all the stuff going on in life, all the feelings, the hurt, the pain, the situation, and bring it to Him and allow Him to take His word and His truth and speak to each one of us.